Welcome to the explainer. Sometimes a single idea, a single software pattern, can literally save a company from collapsing under its own weight. That's the story we're diving into today. A journey from total chaos to beautiful clarity. And it all starts with a cry for help from a client.
So let's really feel this pain for a second. This wasn't some hypothetical problem. This was the day-to-day reality for Ryan, the founder of a fintech startup called Payflow. His product? It was a hit. But under the hood, it had become this absolute nightmare for any developer who had to touch it. And believe me, his top clients were not shy about letting him know.
And it didn't stop there. The complaints just kept pouring in. Look, this wasn't some minor bug. This was a fundamental, deep-seated problem. You have to understand, developers don't want to spend weeks becoming an expert in your system. They just want to do their job, right? They want to charge a credit card. And all this friction, it was seriously damaging the company's reputation. Okay, and this is when the alarm bells really started going off. 3 months just to integrate? Are you kidding me? In the startup world, that's like a lifetime. The stakes here were just incredibly high. Their own complex system of microservices, the very thing they were proud of, was now crippling their clients and threatening to take down their entire business. All right, so let's get visual. What did this chaos actually look like for a poor developer trying to use Payflow's API? Let's peel back the curtain and see the mess they had to deal with.
Okay, get this. To do one simple thing, process a payment, a developer had to become an orchestra conductor. They had to manually call one service to validate the user, then another to check the balance, then another to validate the payment method, then another for fraud checks. You get the picture. Every single one of those steps was a separate API call. They had to build, they had to manage, and they had to handle all the potential errors for. It was an absolute recipe for disaster.
And if you look at the raw numbers, wow, they tell a brutal story. We're talking 3+ months just to get started. A user manual that's over 200 pages long. Over 12 API calls for a single transaction. And maybe the worst part? Over 50 different ways things could go wrong that the developer had to plan for. This wasn't a tool to help people. It was an obstacle course they had to survive. And this chart, this really says it all, doesn't it? The industry average for developer satisfaction is a pretty solid 7 out of 10. Payflow, a dismal 2. A 2. They weren't just building a product that was hard to use, they were actively making their users miserable. So just when things are looking their absolute bleakest, a mentor arrives on the scene. An advisor named Dr. Maria Santos. She takes one look at this tangled maze of microservices, and she just gets it. She immediately diagnoses the core problem and comes in with this simple, elegant idea that's about to change everything. The idea she brought to the table was something called the facade pattern. And the concept, it's actually really simple, but it's also profound. Think of it like this. You don't show the messy plumbing and wiring of your house to your guests, right? No, you give them a nice, simple front door to walk through. The facade pattern is that front door for your code. It's a single, simplified interface that hides all the messy, complex stuff happening in the background. This right here, this slide, gets to the heart of it all. You can see the before and after so clearly. In the old way, the client, the developer, is forced to be the orchestra conductor, trying to get every single instrument to play at the right time. It's exhausting. But in the facade way, they just make one simple request to the real conductor, the payment facade, which then handles all that complex coordination behind the scenes. It's literally the difference between chaos and clarity. Okay, so that's the theory. But what did this actually look like in the real world? Let's see how this transformation played out in the actual code for Payflow's clients. Okay, take a look. This is what a developer's code looked like before the facade. You've got a dozen different calls, nested logic, tons of error handling. Every single one of those calls is a potential point of failure that the developer has to worry about. It's just so fragile, so complicated, and a total nightmare to maintain. And now, the after. Look at that. It became this. One simple line, payment facade dot process payment. That's it. All that tangled mess from the last slide, gone. It's all hidden behind this one beautiful, intuitive method call. For the developer, processing a payment finally became as simple as it sounds. And what's cool is that Ryan had this aha moment. He realized this powerful idea wasn't just for his payment API. The facade pattern, it's everywhere. Once you know what to look for, you start seeing it all around you, hiding complexity in our everyday lives. Here's a great example. Your smart home. You press one button that says movie mode, right? And what happens? The lights dim, the thermostat adjusts, the TV turns on. You don't care how it happens. You don't care that it's talking to 5 different systems. You just want the result. That movie mode button, that's a perfect real-world facade.
Or think about the last time you bought something online. That single buy now click, that's an incredibly powerful facade. In that one moment, it's kicking off a whole chain of events, processing your payment, updating the inventory, arranging the shipping, sending you a confirmation email. It's orchestrating a dozen back-end systems, and all you had to do was click once. It's seamless.
And this principle isn't just for consumer stuff. It's a huge deal for us in the tech world, too. Think about deploying an application to the cloud. I mean, that could involve configuring storage, spinning up databases, setting up monitoring. It's a ton of steps. But a good cloud platform gives you a facade, one single command that handles all that ridiculously complex orchestration for you. So let's fast forward 2 years. Ryan isn't just the founder who saved his company from the brink. He's now seen as an expert, a thought leader in API design. He's on stage at a major tech conference, ready to share the lessons he learned the hard way. And he opens his talk with this absolute gem of a quote. He admits, "I used to think that a good architecture meant showing everyone all the cool, powerful things my system could do." But he learned that's completely backward. The real art, the real sign of a great architecture, is making all that power easy to use by masterfully hiding the complexity. Of course, he learned that just slapping a facade on something isn't enough. You have to do it right. There are best practices. Like a great facade should take a dozen confusing internal errors and translate them into one simple, helpful message for the developer. And I love this idea he talked about progressive disclosure. Basically, you give everyone a super simple front door for the common stuff, but you also leave a side door unlocked for those power users who really do need to get in and tweak the advanced settings. But, and this is super important, he also gave a warning. A facade is not a silver bullet. It's not the answer to every problem. If your system is already simple and well-designed, don't add a facade just for the heck of it. And if your users genuinely need that fine-grained, low-level control, then a facade will just get in their way. The goal is always to add value by simplifying, not to add another useless layer of abstraction. So, in the end, Ryan's journey with the facade pattern was about so much more than just fixing a broken API. It really transformed his entire company, and it reshaped his entire philosophy on what it means to build great software. And his story really leaves us with these powerful takeaways. First, great APIs don't show off capabilities, they hide complexity. Second, the developer experience, how people feel when they use your product, is way more important than some kind of architectural purity. And finally, that finding the right simple abstraction, well, that can literally transform a business. Simplicity really is the ultimate sophistication. Which brings us to the big question that Ryan's whole journey leaves us with, a question we should ask ourselves about everything we build. Is our goal to expose every single capability we have, or is it to masterfully hide the complexity? Are we showing off our engine, or are we building a beautiful car that's a joy to drive? Because that choice, it can make all the difference.